And there will be even more U.S. firepower steaming into the Persian Gulf very soon. The USS Theodore Roosevelt has now completed its composite training out in the Atlantic and is now ready to bring the fight to ISIS in the Middle East. I recently accepted an invitation from the Navy to fly aboard the Big Stick. I spent a few days with the sailors and aviators who are ready and very able to get the job done. We loaded our transport at NAS Jacksonville, about a dozen of us from all over the country, invited to witness the operations of one of this nation's most awe-inspiring weapons, the USS Theodore Roosevelt. Somewhere off the coast of Florida, we met up with this massive Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, and we came aboard in the traditional fashion, a tailhook grab. 150 miles an hour to a dead stop in about the length of a football field. It was exhilarating. We were hustled off the flight deck and into the bowels of this massive display of military might.
How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I was immediately taken by how much technology is crammed into this giant warship.
They call it a floating airport. It's really not a floating airport. It's a floating hangar, and it turns into an airport for a very short period of time.
And it's that short period of time that overwhelms the senses. The sound, deafening. The power, unimaginable. Even the constant heat and smell of jet exhaust is intoxicating. This is the ultimate team, a different colored jersey for every responsibility on the flight deck. And the capability to launch and recover these fighters every 45 seconds. Below deck makes it all possible. From an enormous hangar where these battle machines are maintained, repaired, and stored, to ordnance magazines deep within the belly of this beast.
All these holes are to be able to fasten chains to tie weapons down.
Millions and millions of dollars of missiles ready to strike. Even a department that makes bombs right there on the ship. It takes about 5,000 sailors and aviators to make it all happen, and they certainly don't run on jet fuel. Some 20,000 meals per day prepared and served on the Big Stick, and many of the creature comforts of home, right down to a very familiar cup of coffee. They come from all over the country, these men and women who defend our freedom and make this nuclear-powered city tick. Specialist Stephanie Belcher is a Pensacola native.
Now that we're about to go on deployment and go over to where everything is going on in the Middle East, you really realize how big of an impact that you have on what's going on around the world.
Intelligence specialist Jacob Swire is from Foley and a third-generation sailor.
I was able to experience so much and well-disciplined myself. Through there, I was able to see Bahrain, Dubai, some of Spain, stuff like that. It was very good.
Some see the world. Others earn money for college tuition, all while keeping all of these moving parts clicking 24/7. About 7 o'clock in the morning on the flight deck of the Theodore Roosevelt, every single day, about 100 planes are launched and recovered off this flight deck. And the average age of this crew that you see out here, about 21 or 22 years old. Certainly not your typical millennials. In fact, the sailor actually driving this carrier, she's 19 years old. This is the military. The folks in charge run a very tight ship. And as our weekend aboard the Big Stick was drawing to a close, we knew the crescendo of this trip was still ahead. We would leave the deck like every other aircraft by way of catapult. 0 to 150 miles an hour in 3 seconds. I got to tell you, Kim, it truly was awe-inspiring. You get a good feel for what the military is doing out there, and we once again are in very, very good hands. The men and women who do this job, very dangerous job, but to see how good they do it is simply amazing. By the way, it's called the Big Stick. Theodore Roosevelt, speak softly, carry a big stick. That is one of this country's biggest sticks right there, and it is impressive.
And you wouldn't think they'd be so young, but yet they're so professional and they're dedicated, and that's just amazing, willing to fight for our country as well.
It is the military, and they are supposed to do a job, and they do it, and they all do it so well. Nuclear reactor on board that thing. It's pretty amazing stuff. Well, some more regional